Hi, I'm Catherine. Welcome to my video podcast where I try to share a variety of my making adventures. I live in the rural Midwest with my husband and our 3 daughters, and today is Saturday, July 26th, and it is 2:15 in the afternoon where I live. If you'd like to follow me other places, I'm also My Making Adventure on Instagram and Ravelry. All right, let's jump in. I'm really excited to be back sharing with you again today. And I'm wearing my coloring book tee, which is a pattern by Aimee Sher makes. It has really cute, like, changing color details, either on the sleeves, I think, or on the body, depending on what version you make. But this was my first ever hand knit garment, and I chose not to do more than one color. And I'm really proud of it. It still fits well. It still looks nice. My daughter also has a dress that I made out of the same yarn, and she loves it, and she's been wearing it a ton. It's 100% cotton, and it was like I think I have some left over. Hold on. Which drawer is it in? Aha! What is this? There's more here than I remembered. All right, it is a 4 strands, but not plies. They're not twisted together. They're just... So it was really difficult to knit with, and I have all of this left over because I have to extend her dress. When I originally made it, I might be off gauge, or I might have knit a size too big, but it was plenty long, but still too wide on the shoulders. So she wore it anyway, all the time. And I saved the extras knowing that she could grow into it and she'd need more length on the skirt. And I need to add that length to the skirt now. And I'm not sure. I was gonna see how much I had here. Yeah, I have about 60 grams. I had thought I might like pick up and increase, like the skirt originally, when you finish the body, you bind it off and you pick up and increase to make it look more ruffly. And so I thought I might do that again to add more of a tiered look to her skirt. But I don't think I have enough to add a significant amount of length if I increase the stitches a whole bunch again. So I might have to... I'm worried because I bound off. I'm worried that if I just pick up from the bind off, it will look funny if I don't then increase stitches. So I might have to like pull out the bind off and pick up stitches as I go. And I'm worried about catching all 4 strands of this yarn in that way. But that was a huge tangent about something that I probably need to be working on fairly soon. I can wait a little bit longer, but she's been loving wearing the dress, so I don't necessarily want to take it away from her when I don't necessarily have a lot of dedicated time to work on it. But it would just be stockinette, but it is fingering weight cotton yarn, and it is quite slow to work with. All right, let's get started with the real stuff. I have finished 2 finished things to share with you. The first was my test knit of Ollie's classic cardigan. This is a pattern by Hannah Graham, and it's coming soon. I think in August is the plan. And I knit the 4T size, which is the 7th size of the pattern. It is like all the way from itty bitty baby all the way up, I think, to a 10-year-old size. This isn't the largest. There's 3 sizes larger than this. And I knit this as part of the test knit. It all went really smoothly. And wow, what a beautiful sweater. My daughter loves it. It's just not sweater weather. I used the one of the recommended yarns for the pattern, the Purl Soho Good Wool, and it was my first time knitting with that. And I was really, really hesitant to knit with it at the gauge in the pattern. And I swatched like 3 times because I was like, but it works. Trust it. Trust Hannah knits with this yarn all the time, so I should have trusted her from the beginning. And so I ended up using the recommended needle sizes for the project and everything. And I thought it looked really, really good before I blocked it, but after I blocked it, it just looks so good. It has folded bind offs at the bottom hem and the sleeve cuffs. And I put in a lifeline before I knit the 2 inches for the cuff so that it would make it easier for me to see where to like pick up and bind off, because I did like a 3 needle bind off where I put a needle back in and then I knit 1 from each needle together twice, and then I like passed 1 over and knit 2 together, pass 1 over, knit 2 together, pass 1 over to do the bind off, and that worked just fine. It looks nice, you can tell. And then it has a double knit button band, and I just used Walmart buttons. I had purchased these buttons earlier to use on my Market Henley, but then I chose not to put buttons on the Market Henley, and I figured they would work just fine for this. I also did 5 buttons for this size. I think some of the smaller sizes have 4 buttons, but I put in 5 buttonholes. Yeah, I don't know. That was my first time doing a double knit button band, and I think it all came out really, really well. I'm really pleased with it. This is going to be every year since I've started knitting garments. I've knit my daughters like matching sweaters in the fall, and this is the pattern that I'm gonna do for them this year. My older daughter, she's 5. She has already decided what color she wants, and she wants me to order the yarn right away. But I have to decide what color I wanna make the babies because she can't really decide for herself, so I get to pick. I could make it, I have enough of this yarn left over. The Good Wool is more of a sport weight yarn that you can knit at a looser gauge, and it has like 380 yards per 100 grams. So I just use like a skein and a half for this 4T size. So I'm sure I have enough left over. I can knit the baby a matching color, but I thought it would be fun to do them each in a different color with the same pattern. So we'll see what I decide. I might just decide to knit it in this same color, or I might choose to pick a different color. But it's not fall yet, so they're gonna have to wait for their matching sweaters. Definitely pleased with this. I'm trying to think if I have anything else to say about it. The garter stripe pattern is cute. It's gonna be like a really, like it's a little bit more elevated than any of the other sweaters that I've knit for them before. So like it will look really nice with a dress, but it can just kind of be tossed on over anything also. So yeah. First finished object to share is that, and it's called Ollie's Classic Cardigan. It's still in testing. The test is just wrapping up, so I don't know how long until Hannah will get the pattern released, but hopefully soon, because it was such a fun knit. I'm sure if you have little ones in your life, this would be a great sweater. And I know like It's gender neutral. You could knit it for a boy or a girl, as a nice little jacket sweater. My next finished object is also a pattern by Hanagram, and it is Micah's Satchel. I don't know how well this yellow color is going to show up here. This is the 4th time I've knit this. I am now knitting them for like all the little girls we know for their birthdays, and one little girl that we know has a birthday coming up, and my daughter asked her what her favorite color was, and she said yellow, and I said hooray, because, oh, there's one end I didn't clip here. I have a lot, more than one end. I wove in the ends, but apparently I didn't clip them all. I have a lot of leftover yellow yarn from my stripe pipe, and so that's what I used. This is Cascade 220 non-superwash. It was leftover from my sweater that I finished in my last episode. And this pattern takes me like 2 to 3 days. If it's my main focus and I have time to knit. And I love it. And my girls love theirs. And I think that my girls' ones that I made for them are probably coming up to 2 years old. And they wear them out. Like, they stuff them full and lug them around and wear them out. And so, and they're still staying strong. So I think that this will be a fun thing to gift. And I have plans to make a couple more for other little girls that we know, as their birthdays are coming up this fall, I think. So that, yeah, I've got an August birthday for the sister of the last one I made before this, and I know a November birthday. So yeah, ta-da! Maybe even one in October. All right, then I have a couple whips to share with you. The first is one that you saw before, and that is the Christmas stockings. Happy Christmas in July. Merry Christmas in July. I don't remember how far I was into this when I shared it with you last, but I have been just sort of like putzing away at this. I am trying, I'll just kind of review. I'm trying to make a stocking for each of my 5 children by Christmas time. I started right away in January and I made 2, and I just wasn't in love with them. And so I set it aside and decided to like try again later. And so all of the Christmas in July make-alongs made me feel like I should try again. So here we are, trying again. I picked a different pattern. This pattern is by Knit Purl Hunter. It was like a Christmas stocking bundle. I got like 6 patterns all together. And it's toe up. And then it has colorwork charts. Now I was gonna do this mostly like pink and reds, but it has a Christmas tree motif, so I put green in there. It might look kind of weird, but hopefully once the whole stocking is done, it won't look too odd. But this is how far I've gotten. She does have a video of like different parts, including the heel. So I was able to follow the video to knit the short row heel, and that went pretty smoothly. There's like one part where it felt like there's a pretty big gap. Yeah, on this side, that stitch is really loose, and I'll have to try to tighten it up when I weave in ends. But I haven't been weaving in ends. So this is the next motif that I'm gonna do that I've just barely started is snowmen. So there's that, and then I think that's like the end of the intense color work would be the snowman. Now, I don't really enjoy stranded color work, at least not like in this situation where I have like, I have to knit with a loop, and I'm knitting with a traveling loop. So like magic loop, but instead of having like half and half, I just have one loop and I knit for a bit, And then once it starts to get too tight, I just like pull those stitches through, re-wrap it around, and knit for a little bit. So like magic loop, you only have to adjust your stitches twice in one round. But with this, I have to adjust my stitches like 4 to 5 times around. And that's not like the most fun part of knitting, but I don't have like the right needles to knit on this small circumference. And when I knit color work with magic loop, I tend to get it like too tight at the turning point of my needles. And so I thought that like by moving where my loop was, I would avoid some of that tension issue. So it seems to be working. This yarn is Knit Picks Wool of the Andes in their worsted color or worsted weight, and I'm using US 7 4.5 millimeter needles. I have purchased quite a large quantity of this yarn with the intent of making stockings for all my kids. And so when my original pattern wasn't working for me, I still needed like a worsted weight stocking pattern because I have all the yarn. So I have 2 finished stockings that I don't like, plus all my extra yarn in this bag. And that's not the yarn for this stocking. So there's quite an investment, and I didn't want to throw that all away. I wanted to continue with the investment that we made in purchasing the yarn and figure out how to make it work. So that's where we're at. I would say like I don't think this is like perfect or even necessarily going to be like an heirloom piece for our family, but I think this is gonna be like, it'll do for this year while I figure things, or for a few years, and maybe in the future I'll be better at knitting stranded color work and do something else. Or maybe, oh yeah, there's a big gap right there from the heel also. Or maybe I'll grow to love them more as my children use them more. I do think I like it better than my original pattern, but I don't know that I like it enough more to rip out the 2 that I've already done. The older boys, so I have 3 little girls that live with us now, but I have 2 adult sons. They might just have to deal with my first stockings that I was not as pleased with, because I'm not sure it's worth I'm not sure this is that much better than theirs, that it's worth ripping them out and reknitting them. So there's my stocking. It's coming along. I will be more than halfway done when I finish this one, and I'm on the last big color work chart. So that is significant, and I'm pleased with that. However, this is pretty slow. I often am knitting with young children running around, and my baby is like super mobile right now. She's not walking, but she just like crawls wherever she wants to go. And she's 9 months old, so basically I'm up and down a million times getting her out of trouble. So this is like when the kids are asleep knitting, which I don't actually get a lot of time for that. Or when my husband's home, usually just when my kids are asleep. But I also don't have the brain space for it like after bedtime. So it has to be like when my kids are asleep, but not late at night. So it's like a couple rows a day project, not a really, really fast one. All right, next up, I think, is a new cast on. I had received this yarn from Dawn. It's Hobie Daily Stitch Wool Blend, and it's a worsted weight wool acrylic blend. And I decided to knit a baby sweater for my friend who's having a baby. So I was kind of debating what sweater to make. And I remembered that I had the Metamorphic pattern. It's a pattern by Lisa K. Ross, and it is like a Henley style. I knit it for my husband last year, but it is a baby to adult size pattern. So it's like 6 months is the smallest size, and then it goes up to like several XL sizes. It was intended for DK weight yarn though, so I am off gauge. I haven't actually even measured my gauge or blocked it. But this is what I've got so far. The original pattern has color work in it, and I did not knit the color work. I just knit it plain with this yarn. And I think it's so cute. I like the Henley. I'm not gonna put buttons on it or anything, but I like that it'll make it easier to fit a baby head through, since babies have big heads. And I did sew down that, but it hasn't been blocked, so hopefully the ribbing will tidy up a little bit. I have been weaving in most of the ends. I did measure the width of the sweater. So I cast on for the 6 month size, the smallest size. But I knew I'd be off gauge because I'm using like US 8 and worsted weight yarn instead of like DK yarn and US 6 needles. And when I measured the circumference, it was closer to the 18 month size. So I knit the length recommended for the 18 month size in both the sleeves and the body. And I did my own thing for sleeve decreases because the pattern has like a color work chart on the sleeve, and there's no decreasing in the color work. And so it like you knit straight for a while and then you decrease like past the elbow. And I just decided to decrease as I went for more of a tapered sleeve. And I am, yeah, then otherwise I think mostly knitting everything to pattern. I am so close to being done. I was like, I could finish the sweater or I could podcast. So yeah, this is the second skein of the wool blend. Dawn sent me 2. So I think once I finish the sweater, I'm going to knit a little hat to go with it. And I think I'm gonna knit the Barley worsted hat by Tin Can Knits. That's a free hat pattern that has a baby size in it that's made for worsted yarn. So hopefully it will come out good. Anything else? Yeah, this Metamorphic pattern, I originally saw Aimee from Noble Character Crafts was making one for her son without the color work, and that's where I first saw it, and it just feels like a really versatile, like useful pattern, like the style of the sweater, if you omit the color work. Like with the color work, it's pretty unique, but without the color work, it's like a pretty good staple. And because it comes in so many sizes, it's also like just a great pattern to have on hand. I could knit it for my girls. It is a raglan construction. I could knit it for my girls. You could kind of knit off gauge and figure things out. Since it's the DK weight and there's so many sizes for almost everybody, like you could choose to size up or size down to follow like a different stitch count if you were knitting off gauge for most of the sizes. Obviously, like since I wanted to knit for a baby and my gauge is bigger than recommended, I couldn't like size down from the lowest size, but for almost anybody you could, like if I wanted to use this yarn to knit for one of my girls, I could size down, or other worsted weight yarn. So yeah, I'm really excited to be finishing that. And then I'm finally, I don't know yet because I still haven't purchased the pattern. So there are other things that could come up between now and then. But I did want to share my dream knitting, I guess is what we're calling it, which is the Color Tip Tee by Emily Curtis. So it is a like satin sleeve. It's not a drop shoulder, but you like knit a back panel and the front panel, and then you knit the sleeves, and they're like, you actually are supposed to knit the size based on your shoulders. So the sleeves are like fitted. And then it has like fun little detailing at the hems with different like pops of contrasting color. So the main shirt is knit all in one color, and then you have like little contrasting pieces. So color tip tee. Patterns by Emily Curtis. I have Cascade Heritage as my main color, and I've swatched for it. I think that this is with US 4 needles. It does feel like a little bit loose, but if I like hold it up, I'm like, I can see through it. But if it's just like draping on me, then I'm not like, I can see through it. So I think that will be fine. That meets gauge of the pattern. I was worried at first that the yarn itself was like a little too thin for the gauge of the pattern, but I think it's gonna be fine. And then for all the fun pops. So there's like, you do the neckline one color, you're supposed to do each shoulder, each sleeve ribbing different color. But I'm gonna do each sleeve one color and the ribbing a different color, and a different color, because I have this mini skein set that I won last summer for the Fluff Your Stash make along, hosted by Stephanie of Texas Peach Knits. And so I thought I would use this and do like one sleeve this color with the ribbing, the hem, the cuff of the sleeve, that color, and or something like that. And then I could use all 6 of 1, 2, 3, 4, then the collar, and then the bottom ribbing for all 6. The t-shirt does have like a cute little pocket that I think just the ribbing of the pocket is actually one of the pops of color, but I am not like a t-shirt pocket person, nor do I really feel like it would, in this case, I don't feel like it would make the shirt cuter, or at least for me in my body. Sorry, there's sirens coming by. If you can hear those, they're me. They're not you. I mean, they're not me, but it's in my camera. It's a fire truck. So if you hear more in a couple more minutes, that's probably more fire trucks. So anyway, I'm super pumped. I've been planning how to use this mini skein set and what I wanted to knit with it. And at first I was gonna do like a mini mock neck, tank top. And then I like waffled a little bit. And then I decided on this, and then Tori, you released the Avenue tee, and I was like, oh, maybe I should knit that. But I do think I've got my mind set up. I'm gonna do the color tip tee. I have a plan. They're turning around. I'm guessing they just got called off from the fire, rather than the fire is close by to us. The fire department is that way, and the truck just like, yeah, they're coming back. If you're not familiar with living in a rural area, sometimes there'll be like a rural fire, and they'll call like 5 different fire departments in to help with that. And sometimes they like automatically call some, and then they like say, never mind, we've got it under control before everybody gets there. So that's probably what happened. Okay. So this is my dream knitting, hopefully my next cast on. This is hand-dyed, really, really pretty yarn, and I really, really want to use it. And I've just been like staring at it and its beauty. It's time to make good use of it. And I think I told myself that when this baby sweater was done, I could cast on the next t-shirt for myself. It does take me quite a while to knit a fingering weight t-shirt for myself. My Market Henley took a really long time, And so like, I wanted to make sure that I had like the, I don't know, the focus to give to that. But I also do want to get it done before I like focus on my kids' fall sweaters, or at least get it started where it's like knitting in the round maybe by then. I don't know. That's where we're at. I'm still gonna cast on the hat, so I'll still have just as many, like just several projects on the go. I have been working on dishcloths in the background as well. And I have some dream sewing I will share with you just briefly. I plan to sew a baby romper from at Easter. I made my daughter's dresses and I have leftover fabric from that. I'm just trying to decide like if I want to make it like mix and match with the 3 different kinds of fabric I have, or if I want to make it all the same. So a baby romper, I've cut out the pattern pieces. So I've purchased the pattern, printed the pattern, cut out the pattern pieces. I'm ready to cut out fabric. I just have to like decide what fabric. I want to sew some more zipper pouches. Just when I was talking about my hinterland dress last time, I was like, I have a ton of fabric. I need to make good use of it. And a lot of the fabric I have is like small little pieces of cotton fabric. And so I thought, let's just like sew some more zipper pouches. I have the zippers, I have the fabric. That would be fun to just kind of like go and do it. I have fabric to sew myself an apron, but I don't have like I haven't found like the right pattern. A lot of the apron patterns, especially the free ones, have the strap that like loops down and ties only. It's like one strap, right? So that it can come up high, but you can get it on and off. I feel like those aprons are always choking me. So I need something different. And I'm just like not quite sure what I want. So I'm still thinking about that. And my middle daughter has asked for a scrunchie. And I also have like a little like pinafore dress pattern that my father-in-law just found that was my mother-in-law's, and she passed away several years ago, and he was like, do you want it? And so I thought it would be fun to do that. It would only fit like the baby and my 3-year-old, but really only because my 3-year-old's little. So I might want to do that with some of the little pieces of fabric I have. And that will probably all be before I make my next hinterland dress. So I better get sewing. But the next thing for sure is the little baby romper. And because I got the snaps to work on my hinterland dress, I'm really confident I can get the snaps to work on that. And so I really want to get on top of that. The pattern was written differently than I expected it to be. And so I was like sort of disappointed when I purchased the pattern. It's not a bad pattern, it's just different than I was expecting. And I was reading through the directions, I was just a little bit set back by it being different than I expected. I still did cut out, like I said, the pattern pieces, and now I just have to decide, do I want to, I could make it all green, or I could use some blue, some green, and then like the rainbow. It was like a rainbow fabric that I used for my girls' dresses. So I had kind of thought that I would do like the top part, like the t-shirt part of the romper in the rainbow fabric, and then like the shorts part in a different color, and the sleeves in, so like maybe blue shorts and green sleeves. But the pattern isn't really, it's not like shirts and pants, like you don't have a seam there, so I have to put a seam there, and I'm just not sure that I want to do that. Although it wouldn't really be too hard. I'm just not sure what I should do to like finish that seam. If I split the pattern and I do like a top and a bottom, and I feel like I could add a seam allowance, cut out the fabric, and sew that together, boom. But then do I like iron the seam open? Do I iron the seam down? Or do I do something different? Like the seam allowance that's on the inside? I think with my dress, I ironed it down. So maybe I would just do that. I do really think that I might like the look of it better if I do it that way. I'm most excited to make it if I can make the top part rainbow, the sleeves blue or green, and the short part the other color. So maybe I'll just have to put in the time to make that work. I felt like that was gonna hold me back, but maybe it's holding me back to be less inspired. I was thinking, well, I could make her two, but I don't want to make her, I don't know. I have enough fabric to make her two, but I'd probably make one in this size and one in a different size. And so there's no rush. I don't want her to have like, she has enough clothes now. She doesn't need two of the same thing. All right. That is like my making update, dreams and everything. I have a little bit of a life update. However, I didn't write down what I've been reading. I wonder if I'll be able to remember anything. My oldest daughter did swimming lessons, and she had a blast with that. Just like first time doing swimming lessons, not super used to being in the swimming pool even. And just, it was a really, really good experience. She had so much fun going every day. At the end, she was going down the water slide by herself. She still likes to get caught at the bottom. But she's like really comfortable getting her head under the water now, which all of that was a huge win for her. My baby, like I said, is like crawling and moving and pulling to stand and doing everything and going everywhere every minute that she's awake. And that keeps me really, really busy. I'm just gonna pause for a minute. All right, we're back. My middle daughter, who's 3, fell down the stairs and cut open her head and had to get a staple put in. Just one. And she gets that out tomorrow. So that was an adventure. And I have been busy planning a VBS day for our church. Instead of doing like a week of VBS, we're just doing it on next Saturday, so a week from today. That's kind of scary to think about. And so I've been really busy trying to figure and plan all of that out and work with other volunteers. So yeah, I'm getting pretty excited for it though. We have some good plans. Hopefully I can get it all to fall into place. Yeah, so I think that's all for today. Oh, I was gonna share what have I read. I've been reading Mrs. Bunkle's trilogy. I read the first one a little while back, and I got the second and third one pretty close back to back. The second one I loved. I'm in the middle of the third one, and I feel like it's a bit of a slow start. It doesn't mean it won't be good, but it doesn't have like quite the same. I don't know, maybe I'm just in the mood for something else. I'm not sure. So I'm enjoying it. Have I read anything else in between? I don't know that I did. I have Magnolia In as an audiobook, and I'm really enjoying that. So, and I listen to that while I work. So, thank you for joining me today. Until next time, God bless. Bye.